Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Boss Up and Glow Up, where we talk about mental health, how to glow up, and how to be the best possible version of yourself that you can be. It is fucking rough out here. There's always things happening. And I want this to be a safe space for you to just sit here, listen to the advice I want to give you because I have experienced so much shit. And I'm sure we all have too. And I want this to be like relatable topics. And I just don't want anyone to feel like they're alone in certain situations. So I like to come on here and kind of share my personal experiences and give advice from what I've learned from going through those experiences. And I am a doctorate student for psychology. So I also do a lot of research. So most of my episodes are backed up by some type of psychological research. Okay. Not just bullshit. Today, we're getting real. We're getting deep because today we're going to talk about situationships. I know, 2026's favorite thing in the world, situationships. And I already know this episode is about to personally attack at least half of you listening because honestly, it attacked me too at one point and maybe it's attacking me now. Actually, probably not. Because why are we living in a generation where nobody knows what they're doing emotionally anymore? Everybody wants intimacy, but not commitment. Nobody wants a relationship. Everybody wants attention, but not the responsibility of a relationship. And everybody wants access to people emotionally, physically, mentally. But the second the word relationship comes up, suddenly everyone's confused and they don't know what the fuck they want. And I'm sorry, but at some point we have to stop acting like confusion is cute. It's not mysterious. It's not romantic at all. And most of the time, it's not bad timing either. A lot of the time, it's somebody enjoying the benefits of having access to you while avoiding the responsibility of choosing you fully. And before you get defensive, yes, sometimes people are genuinely emotionally confused or healing or figuring themselves out. Human emotions are complicated. They are. But what I need you to understand is that someone struggling emotionally doesn't mean you are required to stay in a dynamic that's hurting you or draining you. And that's where people get trapped because empathy becomes self abandonment. You understand them so deeply that you stop protecting and caring about yourself. And situations thrive in being vague. They survive in, oh, we'll see. They survive in mixed signals, inconsistency, false hope, because the second clarity hits and enters the room, most situationships either become relationships or they end. And honestly, that is why so many people avoid defining things because clarity forces accountability. And today, we are unpacking all of it. Why situationships feel addictive, why they hurt so badly, sometimes even more than full on relationships, why people stay stuck in them, why emotionally unavailable people feel so attractive, why confusion gets mistaken for chemistry, and most importantly, how to stop settling for almost love. Because, babe, you do not need another situationship. You need emotional stability. You need self respect. You need peace. You probably need to stop romanticizing people who make you anxious. Situationships hurt more than real relationships sometimes. And can we talk about that for a second? Because what the fuck? That doesn't even make any sense because people who have never experienced a situationship don't understand the level of emotional damage. They'll be like, well, technically, you guys weren't together. Okay, and that almost makes it worse because when an actual relationship ends, there's usually some sort of clarity. Painful clarity, it's gonna hurt, but there is clarity. You know what happened, you know where things stood, you know there was mutual acknowledgement of the relationship existing, but situationships are psychological torture sometimes because there's no official beginning, there's no official ending, there's no clear rules, there's no stability, no label, no certainty. You're constantly trying to interpret everything. Like, what did that text mean? Why are they acting distant? Did I do something wrong? Why were they obsessed with me last week, but now they're so distant and cold? Why do they act like they care about me, but they avoid commitment? Your brain becomes consumed with uncertainty. And psychologically, uncertainty actually increases obsession. There's research behind this. Human beings become way more emotionally attached when rewards are inconsistent. It's literally similar to gambling psychology. When affection is unpredictable, your brain keeps chasing the next moment of reassurance. That's why situationships can feel addictive. One good conversation can keep you emotionally attached for weeks. One compliment can reignite hope. One late night vulnerable moment makes you think, maybe this is becoming something finally. Meanwhile, nothing is actually changing. And because there's no official relationship, people often feel like they're not allowed to grieve fully. So they suppress the pain. But let me validate you right now because situation heartbreak is real heartbreak because you're grieving the attachment, the hope, the fantasy, the emotional investment, and the future you imagined with this person. You're grieving what could have been. And honestly, grieving potential is sometimes harder than grieving reality. The addiction to potential is so serious. And this right here is one of the biggest reasons that people stay stuck, and it's potential. Oh my fucking God. Potential has had people in emotional prison for years because you're not dating who the person actually is. You're dating the flashes of who they could become. And those little glimpses are so fucking powerful. Maybe sometimes they're sweet. They feel vulnerable. Sometimes they're affectionate. Sometimes they're attentive. Sometimes they say the right thing. Sometimes they make you feel special. And your brain clings to those moments like it's evidence. You start building an entire future around occasional behavior instead of consistent behavior. Pay attention to those two words for me: occasional and consistent. And this is where people get trapped in fantasy instead of reality. You start to say things like, but when we're together, things feel so amazing. I know they care deep down. They just have commitment issues. They've been through a lot. I see so much potential in them. Okay, but first of all, you're making excuses for them. And potential is not a relationship. Potential does not comfort you at night. Potential does not create consistency. Potential does not build emotional safety. And one of the hardest lessons you will ever learn in this is someone can have good qualities and still not be good for you. That truth hurts because we want love to be about intention. We want effort to count more than the outcomes. We want emotional connection to magically override incompatibility. But relationships are built on consistency, not occasional moments of emotional intensity and chaos. And a lot of people fall in love with the possibility instead of reality. You're attached to who they could become, what they might eventually realize, the future version of them that finally chooses you correctly. And meanwhile, their current behavior is telling you everything you need to know. And behavior will always expose the truth faster than words. Confusion is not chemistry, you guys, because why has this generation confused anxiety with butterflies? Why do emotionally unavailable people feel so exciting? Because uncertainty creates emotional intensity. Your nervous system gets activated. You obsess more. You analyze more. You crave reassurance more. You think about them constantly. And people mistake emotional activation for deep, true connection. Being unable to eat because somebody hasn't texted you back is not romance. Having your mood destroyed because someone is inconsistent is not passion. Crying every week because someone cannot communicate properly is not chemistry. That is emotional instability. And honestly, if you grew up around inconsistency, chaos can just feel comforting to you. And sometimes people subconsciously associate anxiety with love because that's what they experienced growing up. So stable people can initially feel boring, quote unquote, because your nervous system is used to things being unpredictable. And that's why healthy relationships sometimes feel scary and unfamiliar at first. Healthy love is calmer, it's safer, it's more grounded. You're not constantly wondering where you stand. And I know sometimes social media and TV shows and movies kind of glorify toxic intensity. Everyone wants the we can't stay away from each other type of love. But half the relationships people romanticize online are emotionally exhausting. in real life. Like, look at some of the social media relationships. Like, what a Christy and Desmond, we all thought they were like the dream couple. And this motherfucker cheated on her. Like, that's not the dream relationship. What we see is not how it actually is. And I feel like we kind of idolize these social media relationships and these movies, and they're shitty in real true life. And also, the movies are fake. But I feel like we see it and we're like, oh, I want like a storybook romance. No, that's not realistic. Real love should not constantly destabilize your nervous system. And once you experience emotional consistency, you realize how draining chaos actually was. Now, we need to be honest with ourselves for a second, because if situations hurt so much, why do people stay? Loneliness, validation, fear, hope, attachment wounds, low self worth, fear of starting over, fear of rejection, fear that this is the best that they can get. And honestly, sometimes people stay because the high feels so high, like a drug. Your love, your love, your love is my drug. Literally, listen to that song. The rare moments of affection feel euphoric because they're inconsistent. That's why breadcrumbing works psychologically. If someone treated you poorly all the time, you'd probably leave faster. But inconsistency keeps hope alive. And hope is a powerful thing because you keep thinking, maybe things are finally changing. Maybe they're finally realizing my worth. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they just need some time. Meanwhile, months go by, sometimes years, and your self esteem slowly erodes because you're constantly trying to earn consistency from somebody who benefits from keeping things undefined. And another huge reason people stay, they're afraid asking for clarity will ruin things. So instead, they stay silent and suffer. They don't ask, what are we? Do you actually want a relationship? Are we moving forward, or are we kind of staying where we're at? Because deep down, they fear hearing, I don't want anything serious. But avoiding the truth doesn't protect you, it prolongs emotional suffering. Temporary disappointment hurts way less than prolonged confusion. Stop performing the cool girl or cool guy narrative. Oh my God. This is the one. This one is something that we all try to do sometimes. Women, especially, are taught to suppress their emotional needs to appear more desirable. You're supposed to be chill, low maintenance, unbothered, to just go with the flow. Meanwhile, internally, you are spiraling. You are dying inside. You want reassurance, but you act detached. You want consistency, but pretending you're okay with casual. You want clarity, but you act like labels don't matter to you. And honestly, a lot of women are abandoning themselves emotionally just to avoid looking needy. But wanting emotional security is normal. Wanting consistency is normal. Wanting commitment is normal. Wanting reassurance is normal. Please stop letting emotionally unavailable people convince you that your needs are too much, because the right person will not make basic communication feel like an unreasonable demand. And the saddest thing is when women shrink themselves emotionally to keep access to somebody who still doesn't fully choose them. You become less expressive, less direct, less honest, and less yourself. You lose yourself, and eventually you realize you've been performing emotional detachment instead of living authentically. There is a difference between attention and intention. And this is where so many people get the narrative fucked up and confused. Attention feels good. Attention feels validating. Attention creates attachment. But attention is not the same thing as intention. Someone texting you all day does not automatically mean they want a future with you. Someone being affectionate does not automatically mean they're emotionally available. Someone missing you does not automatically mean they're capable of loving you correctly. And this generation confuses access with commitment constantly. People think, oh, well, we talk every day. They spend a lot of time with me. We have sleepovers every night. They care about me. Okay, sure, maybe that's all true. But are they building something with you? Because if someone genuinely wants a relationship, eventually clarity follows. You're not going to be confused. Healthy love progresses, it moves forward, it deepens intentionally. Situationships stay emotionally stagnant while still consuming your energy. And that is why they are so fucking draining. You're emotionally investing without emotional security. Stop auditioning for love. And this mindset changed my life, honestly, for the better. You should never have to convince somebody to choose you. Listen to that again. You should never have to convince somebody to choose you. You should not have to overperform your worth, overgive, overexplain, overcompensate, overanalyze everything, and overwork for basic love. And I think so many people unconsciously enter audition mode low key when they try to date. You start trying to become perfect enough to finally be chosen, to be prettier, to be cooler, to be more understanding, to feel less emotional, to be more patient, more convenient. But healthy love is not earned through self abandonment. The right person will appreciate your standards, not punish you for them. And honestly, the moment you stop chasing validation through emotionally unavailable people, your entire life changes because suddenly you realize being chosen is not the prize. Being valued correctly is the actual prize. Your glow up might require letting them go. And I know this part stings because sometimes you really do love them. There really is chemistry. Sometimes there really are good moments, but moments are not good enough to sustain a healthy relationship. And I think deep down, most people know when something is draining them emotionally. Your body knows, your anxiety knows, your intuition knows, but people stay because they're attached to hope. And hope becomes dangerous when it keeps you stuck somewhere emotionally unhealthy. Sometimes your next level in life requires releasing the person you keep trying to force in your future. That is one of the hardest forms of self respect. Walking away from someone that you want because you finally realize they cannot love you the way you deserve takes strength. It takes power. And the crazy thing is, once you finally let go, you usually realize how emotionally exhausted you were the entire time. Your nervous system calms down. Your confidence finally comes back. You have energy again. You have clarity again. You stop obsessing. You stop overthinking. And you stop waiting for crumbs. And suddenly, peace feels so much more attractive than chaos. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this: you do not need to keep proving your worth to emotionally unavailable people. You do not need another almost relationship, another confusing connection, another inconsistent person draining your energy while giving you just enough attention to stay attached. You deserve clarity. You deserve consistency. You deserve peace and emotional safety. And trust me, the right relationship will not require you to constantly betray yourself to maintain it. Stop romanticizing confusion. Stop chasing potential. Stop settling for almost love because you're scared of loneliness. Because being alone temporarily is way less painful than abandoning yourself in the long run. And babe, your glow up truly begins the moment you stop accepting half ass love. I want to thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Boss Up and Glow Up. I really hope this helped you realize you do not need another situationship. They are the most unhealthy thing. We do not need this again. And I hope this made you realize that you deserve way more than half ass love, okay? I love you so, so, so much. Thank you for listening. And I will see you next week.